Tonight, we're looking at a moment of quiet but consequential diplomacy, a bipartisan, bicameral U.S. congressional delegation addressing growing global attention on the Arctic and Greenland. While this briefing may sound procedural, it sits at the intersection of alliance politics, climate change, resource competition, and public rhetoric. Understanding what's said here and what's carefully not said helps explain how modern diplomacy works when strategic interests and long-standing alliances collide.
Lisa.
Jean's still coming.
Oh, Jean's still coming in. Right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this bipartisan, bicameral congressional delegation. We appreciate the opportunity to give you a quick update on our trip so far. I'm honored to be joined by a group of senators that includes Senators Durbin, Shaheen, Murkowski, and Tillis, and members of the House that includes Congressman Meeks, Congressman Senator Welch. I neglected Senator Welch. Congressman Meeks, Congressman Hoyer, Congresswoman Jacobs, Congresswoman Dean, and Congresswoman McBride. We represent a very wide range of states and backgrounds. We serve on most of the major committees of Congress. And I am so grateful for their attention and engagement over the last few days. We've had the opportunity to meet with and hear from a very wide range of Danish and Greenlandic representatives. We had a terrific and constructive meeting with the Prime Minister and the Greenlandic Prime Minister, with the Defense Minister and Foreign Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, with Danish industry, a purposeful lunch that was a good opportunity to hear from Danish industry. At the think tank DIIS, I think the Danish Institute for International Studies, and a really robust conversation with Parliament. In every one of these meetings or conversations, there were representatives from throughout the Kingdom of Denmark. The conversations we've had have reinforced a few simple points. One is that for 225 years, the United States has been blessed to have a good and loyal and trusted ally and partner in the Kingdom of Denmark. Later today, we will go to Castellet and lay a wreath to express our deep gratitude for the Danes who served alongside Americans in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere, and who lost their lives in defense of our common commitment to peace and to freedom. As an original NATO ally, Denmark has been a tremendous partner for us in security, and that relationship is rooted in deeply shared values, values of democracy, of self-determination, and of respect for territorial integrity. The conversation with Danish industry reinforced that Danish businesses invest heavily in the United States. They're the 16th largest source of foreign direct investment. There's roughly 200,000 Americans who enjoy great jobs because of Danish exports and investment in the United States. In listening to conversations we've had with the both think tank and that Senator Shaheen had with students at a university here, we got a broader range of the views of the people of Denmark. And in our purposeful and concrete conversations with parliamentary leaders, members of the cabinet and the Prime Minister, both Danish and Greenlandic, we had a chance to discuss the current moment and how we move forward in a constructive way. A few simple observations. There are no pressing security threats to Greenland, but we share real concern about Arctic security going forward. As the climate changes, as the sea ice retreats, as shipping routes change, there are legitimate reasons for us to explore ways to invest better in Arctic security broadly, both in the American Arctic and in our NATO.
This section is especially important because it highlights a recurring tension in Arctic politics. On one hand, U.S. lawmakers are signaling concern about long-term Arctic security, driven by melting sea ice, new shipping routes, and increased interest from global powers. On the other hand, they are emphasizing respect for Danish sovereignty and NATO norms. That balance matters. Historically, Arctic cooperation has relied more on diplomacy than militarization. When officials stress respectful partnership, it's often a response to fears that strategic interests could slide into pressure or overreach. Do you think this framing genuinely reassures allies, or is it more about managing public perception during a sensitive geopolitical moment?
Partners and allies. Second is that we seek to find a way forward through this moment that reinforces the 225-year-old partnership and alliance between the people of the Kingdom of Denmark and the United States. And we return to Washington after this trip with a renewed passion for finding ways that we can engage that are respectful and constructive. It was made very clear to us, as it has been repeatedly over the years, that if the United States seeks to invest in partnership respectfully with the people of Greenland in accessing possibly newly available critical minerals or rare earths, that would be welcome, and that in partnership with the Kingdom of Denmark, if we wish to increase our investments in Arctic security, that would be welcome. But the challenge here is for that to be done in a way that is deeply respectful of Danish sovereignty and of our NATO alliance. So with that, I think we're happy to take questions, and we appreciate everyone who's been a part of this. I'm going to call on Trina first, if I might, just to make sure that Greenlandic Press gets a question asked and answered.
Thank you
and
so
please,
much.
I encourage members of this delegation, if you've got an answer that you think we have to give that I've missed, please jump in.
Thank you so much, Senator Kuhn. I would like to ask what can Greenland and the Greenlanders do to help this process moving forward? What can you say to them that they can, that they can help with?
First, I just hope that you will reinforce that this is a respectful and constructive delegation that came more to listen than to talk. And speaking for myself, and I suspect it's true across all of us except Senator Murkowski, I learned a great deal about Greenland that I did not previously know. More than anything, that it is a remote and difficult place to live, and that the population of Greenland has managed to carve out of an exceptionally difficult environment, a culture and an approach to living that is worthy of deep respect, and that our assets there are relatively limited, and that our partnership with the Greenlandic peoples is critical to our having a better informed understanding of what the real circumstances are in Greenland and what the possibilities are for respectful partnership.
If I may
Please.
just add to that, there have been, I think, significant efforts between not only the native people in Alaska, but many Alaska business interests that have formed partnerships and relationships with the people of Greenland, focused on areas of common interest. We understand what it means when small communities are visited by a large cruise ship where the population of the tourists on the cruise ship is 3 times more than the population of your community, and how you still maintain the identity of a community when you have those visitors come in. So we've been sharing some best practices. Our fishermen have been talking to Greenlandic fishermen about how we deal with changes in ocean and the environment. We've been talking about different governance structures. I would encourage the Greenlandic people, keep those avenues of dialogue and partnership open. Oftentimes, when our capitals are in conflict, when the words are perhaps hard to translate at that level, it is at the sub-regional level that we are able to have that level of civility, of optimism, and forward movement that is positive. So I would offer that to the people of Greenland. The second thing that I would suggest is, just as Senator Coons has shared, there is so much that this delegation has learned about not only Greenland, the island, the territory, but about the Greenlandic people. And yesterday when we met with the parliamentarians, one of the things that was so moving was when a young parliamentarian shared the concept of ownership as an indigenous person of Greenland understands it. It is not the same concept that most people in Western society may relate to. So understanding the culture, the people, And only the Greenlandic people can do that. Only they can really share their stories, their lifestyle, and what it means to be part of a very harsh environment in challenging conditions, but that's who you are. And so to suggest that you might want to go move to an easier place doesn't make sense. So share those stories with not only the United States, but share them with the world, because the eyes of the world are on Greenland and Greenlanders. Let's not forget the people.
Thank you, Lisa. My first trip to the Arctic was with Senator Murkowski, and you can see why. And there was a very earnest request from the Greenlandic parliamentarians for dialogue and for continued dialogue, which I very much hope Senator Murkowski and others among us will continue to facilitate. Elizabeth, did you have a question?
Yeah, Elizabeth Miller from the New York Times. As you know, Donald Trump has said that he wants to own or take over Greenland because, quote, that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I mean, right now, you're a part of a delegation that is engaging in traditional diplomacy, reassuring an ally. You are doing what has traditionally been done for years and years in a crisis like this. But given that Donald Trump seems to have a psychological need for Greenland, which he says, how can you counter?
What this exchange ultimately shows is how modern geopolitics plays out beyond soundbites. Beneath headlines about territory or strategy are real efforts to maintain alliances, respect indigenous voices, and prevent rhetoric from becoming policy. This delegation repeatedly centers listening, cultural understanding, and cooperation, a contrast to more provocative political statements that have circulated in the past. Whether that approach is enough to steady long-term relationships remains an open question. What do you think? Does this kind of diplomacy strengthen trust, or does it struggle against louder political narratives? Share your thoughts below, and if you value calm, fact-based analysis like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more informed breakdowns.